Round three is going to be size. Oh boy, I uh, I've got the winner already planned out, but you know what? Let me actually backlog to round two and actually give the point to HIYA. The reason why is because looking at it, like, really, I feel as if the reason I find more motion of range is because of it being like loosened up over time, with the exception of the neck, which I think is just stuck via paint. Like, this thing is not twisting off. Versus the HIYA, where you can get this, and you can't really do that with the NECA. You can look down like this, and you kind of can do that with the NECA. And, you know, you got, like, all of this extra articulation as far as, like, mobility goes. Yeah, I find a lot of good articulation on that. So it kind of evens it out, but I feel as if for the reason it has more articulation points, it's got to go to the HIYA. So back to round three. Size. It's a close one. But honestly, it's got to go to the NECA, and I'll explain why. The reason why size goes to NECA is because all Godzilla figures have one trait in common. They are all shoulder to shoulder uniformed figures. And I'll prove my point right here, right now. Look at something like the Bandai Movie Monster Series Shin Godzilla. It is uniformed with the 2019 NECA Godzilla. Granted, a bit hunched over, but if you were to put him all the way up, he'd be about the same height. The 2014 Godzilla is proof of that. So, all of the Godzilla figures in a 6-inch scale, not bigger, would be about uniform. This is a new scale entirely, because he's slightly bigger than everything else. And granted, you can kind of fudge it to where it kind of gets a little smaller, but as it stands like this, which is its neutral stance, it stands taller than that of the NECA. And although it is very close to reaching 6 inches, it's advertised as 7 to 8-inch scale, not the 6-inch scale. Granted, it has its own line scale too, but that's its own line. This is this is about 6-inch consistency, shoulder to shoulder, head to head, hip to hip kind of thing. And when you factor that in, the NECA is the clear winner in that book. Next, we're going to talk about accessories. So let's go ahead and reposition everything. Now, the HIYA comes with an alternate head, an alternate neck piece, and an atomic breath part. It's heat ray, essentially. And it is a pretty long heat ray. So let's just kind of fit everything back into view right here. Looks pretty good. What does NECA come with? While it does also come with the tip of its tail unattached, we're not going to count it in as an accessory. But he comes with his own atomic breath part and a splash base. So let's talk about this. First, let's start with the NECA. How you attach the atomic breath has never been simpler. Even a kindergartner can figure this out. You just attach this atomic breath piece into Godzilla's mouth without the need of a stand, and that's it. It just sits there. Now, granted, you also have the option to kind of aim this slightly downward. Okay, hit the ground. And you kind of have the ability to use this to kind of almost look like it's hitting something. Or you can actually rest it up against something. So let's just say my hand's not there. It can hold its pose. So it can look like that. This is a great display. And honestly, I would pick this. I would really pick this. What seems to be the big downfall? Just watch this. You see how little effort that took? Compare that to something like the NECA Godzilla 89, where the heat ray is dug in there. Like, granted, I hit the table, but it's pretty much stuck in there. It's much more in there because of the peg. The Godzilla 2019 heat ray does not come with one of these pegs. It's just purely designed to jab in the mouth and hook onto the tongue. And that's it. Also, this splash base, It looks great, but like the mouth, it just rests in there. There's no way to actually peg it in. And although it is clearly molded, it's not just purely circular. There's actually like a portion of this that actually aligns with something in the beam, like right around here. There it is. It kind of locks in place. So it's like a groove, but it won't stick. You can come in there until the cows come home, but there is no way you are getting that thing stuck in here for good. Even sticky tack I once used didn't even do the trick. So NECA's beam is just very, it's very unsturdy. And, you know, the option is there. You just have to be very careful with it. Now, HIYA's one is a bit more complex. You want to actually just... Ow. Ow! It bit me. I closed it on my finger as I was going to close it. Ow. So, you want to just take off the head like that and shear off these 3 pieces. Put this alternate neck part on, the one that's looking like that, and then you want to put this head piece on like that. So you can get an effect that looks like he's looking straight up into the air, almost like he's doing the King of the Monsters pose, or he's recreating that scene from vs. Kong where he's underneath the aircraft carrier. Then you want to make sure that this is pointing towards like this, almost like an L. That's a bit crooked. And put it like that, and boom. You got your Godzilla spewing the beam. Now, as far as like critiques go, I don't really have any critiques with this in particular, aside from the fact that the beam is a bit too off-centered from the mouth, because it doesn't look like it's shooting from the throat. I know it's literally jabbed into his mouth, but it looks like it's coming from the tongue because of the way it's positioned. See, it should be coming like that, not like that. It's a bit too acute of an angle. Is that the right term? I don't know. I forgot what I was taught in math. But with that being said, I have no complaints with this, other than one. This is it. This is literally it. Now hold the horses. If you mess around with it, you can get this head on the little sleeves, but the problem with that is that the head itself, it's too heavy. And whenever you try to like even do like a basic rotation, it might work at first glance, but it's going to pop off. Because the beam itself is not designed for, well, the neck isn't designed for this beam. Not to mention, you can clearly see like it's off center. At least NECA's was centered. So really, it all depends on which one you prefer. And as for the amount of accessories, HIYA comes with like one more, but then again, can you really count a neck piece a superior accessory to an impact base? See, the NECA's thing is back at it again. Loosey-goosey. So, really, it all depends on what you prefer. And also, see, it doesn't keep its pose. So while both figures come with a good amount of accessories each, and both have their ups and downs, NECA's connection is not very good, but the actual, what it can pull off is really good. And because you have to tap an articulation, you can actually get a bit more range, while the HIYA is meant to look cool in one certain position, and you can blast it like this. Yes, you absolutely can, but when you go to turn the head, it has a much greater chance of popping off, and these sleeves are not designed to carry that weight. And not to mention, it's just going to keep going whenever you pose it a little bit up. So, with that being said, I gotta go with the NECA on this one, because of the articulation that taps into it. You can actually turn a head, and even though it is loose, it is manageable. This, can you really call that one manageable? So yeah, the NECA wins that point. Round 5, price. Oops. Both of them are known to be the cheaper side of collectibles, but one is cheaper than the other. I'm going strictly based off retail price, by the way, not aftermarket, retail. He was about 20, 25 bucks. He is about 40 to 50 bucks. There is no contest. The NECA is half the price of what HIYA is, and the NECA wins at this point.